Next episode of The Last of Us is here, episode 7, the Left Behind DLC starring Riley and Ellie, the origin of how Ellie was bit and how she dealt with relationships and hard truths. That's what I best say with everything that was going on during the apocalypse in the early days. So let's talk about everything that happened in this episode, how it compares to Left Behind. Of course, if you haven't played Left Behind, you're gonna have a different experience. But I think that I had quite a few issues with this episode. But again, there's still a lot of good in this episode. I do want to reiterate that. So let's talk about the episode. Subscribe, like as always, and spoilers ahead. Enjoy. So from the get-go, I'm simply going to talk about the girl who played Riley, a very again an actress who's doing very well for herself. She's in Euphoria, Zendaya's sister. She's did a bunch of other things, but I want to say her introduction in this episode was, and I'm going to say it was shit. It was absolutely shocking. I'm just talking about the first scene where she comes in the window. It felt like she was holding a script and she was reading it word for word, lacking emotion. She was forcing everything she was saying. I'll say she got better as the episode went on, but the way she was introduced, I think it's Storm Reed, the name's just come to me. Absolutely, some of the worst acting I think I've ever seen, and I've seen very basic films. That was a horrible introduction. You could see how well Bella Ramsey was acting, and then Storm Reed is there like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was a joke. I didn't mean to. Oh God." It's like, are you a plank of wood? Jesus Christ. But yeah, what this episode was, started off, she's taking care of Joel. She goes up the stairs, and then she starts to reminisce about someone else she was once close to in her life. For me, this episode just didn't hit. And people will always be like, "Oh, is it because of no action?" And I will say this: yes, they ripped away one of my favorite moments from Last of Us game. That final moment in the game. I'm skipping over everything for the next step. The bit where they force the scaffolding, and it goes to the point of we failed. You think they're going to escape? They force the scaffolding, and they failed. They both get bit, and that's that. There was one fucking infected in this episode. There's two of them, one infected, and there was no part where they got bit in one of the locations they got bit. Riley, was smashed against a thing as she fell over. The infected went on to Ellie. Ellie was clobbered underneath. Her arm was nowhere near the infected, and she somehow got bit in that location on her arm. And I'm just sat here going, you just sacrificed the scaffolding scene, the whole running through the mall scene for that. It just, I mean, there were some spectacular, cute moments and emotional moments. Riding on the carousel, the escalator scene I think was very pure for Bella Ramsey's Ellie character. Playing Mortal Kombat 2, I thought it was coming. You saw the poster. I knew that was going to be the game that they were going to play. The photo booth scene, the first kiss, all these scenes were nice. But the episode just felt flat, boring, and I've read a bunch of comments and tweets online, and it's so true. The world doesn't even feel like there's zombies in it, and I think Troy Baker said this about the series. It's not about the zombies. Well, it fucking is. It's a zombie apocalypse. It's an apocalypse where we expected 20 plus infected to be in this mall. It's not even just this episode. There was one episode where there was two episodes. The one with Tess and the one where the hunters were killed in episode 5, I think. And it's like they believe that's justifiable. And no, because they were just two scenes I didn't really care for. Tess's death, which they changed, and the hunters scene, which I didn't care for the involvement in the way they did it. And God, I think this is why I'll never find The Last of Us to be a masterpiece or anything of perfection or anything groundbreaking, because as a whole, the story is mediocre. Riley was very flat, and I think Storm Reed just didn't work for me. I don't think. I'm thinking about it now. I think there was elements that were nice with Bella. The little dance they did, pulling her out of her shell. I love how they included Take On Me. Um, but I'm just seeing like when you're playing the game and you're going back and forth between the flashback, and this is another moment. This was the shittest moment of the whole Last of Us. How can you cut the entire mall scene where Ellie is by herself, taking on all of David's men in the snow, in the mall, going to get going to get the medication, jumping on the helicopter, being chased by infected. How can you take all that away? It just baffles me. It was Neil who wrote this episode as well, who created the game. And I'm just like, you've just eliminated the two biggest points. She found a bandage and some sewing kit in the kitchen. That's not realistic. Everything would have been looted. And you just took it away two huge moments. And I think every moment that's been changed in the series, the big moments, have ruined the show for me. Tess's death, Bill dying, having leaders of the Hunters rather than just being a ruthless group of people who want to kill Joel and Ellie because they're ruthless and it's the apocalypse, and then just changing the main two big things in this. I just, fucking hell, I don't know what is wrong with TV shows. If it's there right in front of you, you're adapting it to the big screen. You can use those scenes. Don't use like scene in Storm Riley or Steam Reed, whatever name is, comes in and make a fucking read off a script and then change significant scenes. It just stop being inconsistent. Big scenes, more impactful, huge for the big screen or small screen. Oh, I just can't be asked anymore with this series. Um, uh, I think the wonders of the episode, great. Just pacing. Storm wasn't that good. Cutting things, cutting corners, lack of infection. I've seen people give this like 10 out of 10, a million out of 10. It's not even accurate. It's just not. I just can't be arsed anymore with Last of Us at times. Stop changing things. It's I already had issues with the game. It's just, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna give Last of Us episode 7 a 5 out of 10. And people are probably gonna hate this. It's a fact because the pacing just wasn't there, and you just changing too much stuff. That is my opinion. You could say what you want, but I'm starting to see there's only one actor who's carrying this show. Like Bella was on screen with Storm. Bella was great, but it just didn't work with Storm. When she's on screen with Pedro, Pedro is the reason why this show is only going to be successful. The second Pedro leaves, the second they start to adapt the part 2 storyline, you're going to lose so many viewers. It's just going to be so apparent because you can just tell when Pedro's not in the episode because even when something's a bit quiet or slower, he just knows how to fill the void. And the second he came back on screen at the end, I was like, cool, Joel's back, Pedro's back. Even though I know how it ends, storyline wise and how part 2 goes, there's just it's just not fitting right with me. It's sitting right with me at the moment. I just don't know what they're doing with the show. I hope, and I know. It's like next week. They have so much shit to get through. Ellie hunting, Ellie being friends with David. There's a whole community in the next time trailer, but somehow it leads to her burning down the building and fighting David, and obviously that moment between Joel and David coming together. Will we get Joel fighting some of David's men before she gets to Ellie? Probably not. And then we have a 47 or 45-minute finale where it's going to tie absolutely everything up, conclude everything, and get us to season 2. Fucking stupid. Just cutting things and ruining things. Jesus Christ. 5 out of 10. I'm done for this week, The Last of Us. I don't know how you can have so many nice moments in an episode and just be still mediocre at best. Yeah. Until next time, subscribe and like. Goodbye.